Okay, so this video is going to explain how to post a high score from a Roblox game to a Twitter feed. The main components are going to be three things. It's going to be on the Roblox side, the HTTP service, and that's going to send a message in JSON format to a REST service, which is hosted on Amazon as an Amazon Web Service. And that in turn is going to post a message to Twitter using the Twitter 4J API. Okay, so let's look at the steps that we have in front of us. These are more or less the steps in chronological order. We're not going to start with Roblox. Rather, we're going to start with the service first. We're going to try to build the Java artifact, then run it locally, see that it runs, and then go step for step until we finish it. So let's jump right into the Java side first. Okay, let's go to the very first step under Java, and that is create a REST project from spring.io. So here we go. This is very easy. We want one dependency here, and that is um, Spring Web right here. Look at that. Couldn't be easier. We'll just call this stage one dot test one. Artifact, we'll just call it uh, REST service, something like that. And the rest we'll leave it the way it is. It's going to be Java, Maven, uh, Spring Boot, whatever version up there, 263, I guess is fine. And jar, Java, I guess we'll leave it at 11. Let's generate this guy. Now, as you can see down on the left-hand side, there is a nice zip file. And we are, actually, it's already downloaded here. Isn't that nice? So it couldn't be easier. That is now, or that completes the first step. Okay, next step. We have a REST service zip file here that we downloaded from the Spring website. We're going to take this guy over here and copy into my Eclipse workspace folder here. Let's unzip it. There we go. And unfortunately, this is kind of silly. There's a folder in a folder with the same name. We'll just take this thing here and we'll rename it why. Go inside here, take this, put it back in the Eclipse folder, get rid of this. Okay, so now let's open up Eclipse. We're going to import this thing, import existing Maven projects. We will look for this guy here. Here it is. Select folder and finish. And there we have it. So this is where you get out of the box from this website. You have your POM file here, which has as a dependency the Spring Boot Starter Web, which is from that you can build your REST service. You just have a starting class, starts the application, nothing else. Properties file, so it's just a skeleton right now. So let's create the classes. Okay, and just like that, we have our Java classes and our package structure here. Let's go through this one by one quickly and go over what every layer is doing here. We already had out of the box this REST service application. This is the entry point into the service, or what starts the server itself, so there's no need to explain that. This is now the controller. This is kind of like the front line for the service. This takes care of the incoming payload, and it is responsible for delegating the data to the proper service. There really should be little to no business logic here. Next under that is model, And this is a data model that pretty much passes the this data from layer to layer, and it encapsulates this payload that we've been talking about, which only has username and time string. It's pretty simple. And as you can see, it's unannotated. And then last but not least, we have the high score service. This will take care of the business logic. Since no persistence, it's very simple. We have not gone into the Twitter part yet, so this is to be done. But for now, all we want to do is just make sure that this service uh, will run okay and take in an incoming request and do something with it. In this case, all we're going to do is print it to the standard output here. So this message should have the username and the time string here, and should say tweet, and then this message above here where it says, attention please, so and so has taken over the lead with this time. And that's pretty much it. I suppose I'm obligated to talk a little bit about best practices in overall architecture. So here's the same uh, structure depicted as a diagram, where you have an incoming payload. It's picked up first by the controller, and then that's going to be delegated to the service, which is going to take care of the business logic. And typically you would have a persistence layer. In our case, it's very simple. All we have is a Twitter, so we're just going to be doing a direct post out of the service layer, and that's it. Okay, as a last health check, let's start the service up and make sure that it can stand on its own 2 feet. We're going to highlight the project name here, and then with the right mouse, we're going to go down to Run As. And then you'll see Maven build ... Click in that guy. I have copied this in my clipboard, and it is the goal here is spring dash boots :run. Then let's run this thing. So there we go, and look, it's already running. Started on 8080, so that looks actually quite good. And so let's start up our Windows thing here, and I expect, just FYI, as you can see here under the controller, the entry point is going to be under the URL is going to be API, and the service itself is going to be high score. So what I expect here is that if I put in localhost, dot 8080, and then API, and then what did we say? High score. So we have an error here. That doesn't surprise me. Let's just look here. Look at that request method. So this is actually fine because the service requires a post and we did a get. So and as far as I'm concerned, everything looks a-okay. We can go on to the next step. So we're going to test the service with the Postman application. Here's the website, postman.com. Download the application from here. The setup is pretty easy. And then from there, we can test our endpoint. Okay, guys, let's test this now with Postman. Okay, actually, to be quite honest, I've already done this, but let's do, I'm going to repeat the entire thing again. I get the application open, going to go to workspaces. I'm going to say create workspace, and we will call this test new service. And then in terms of visibility, doesn't really matter, just keep it the way it is. Create this workspace. And then next step is to create a collection here. Boom. And under this collection, we are, oh, wait a second. Why am I already confused? We want to create a request. Why didn't I get that? Sorry guys. So add request. And We know that it is going to be localhost. We know the port is 8080. And we know the path is going to be API has score. And the payload will look like this. Our data model we already know is going to be time string and username. So the body we will put, it's going to be raw, by the way. Um, and it's going to be type JSON. And it's going to be a post. Is there anything else I'm forgetting here? I hope not. I don't think so. Um, okay, so this is the very exciting test that we're about to do, and I expect now. By the way, what does our server send back? It returns back the same thing we're sending it. That's not very intelligent, is it? But anyways, we'll leave it as it is. I expect now as a response, look, the same thing we sent, we get back here. And let's look at the output here. Look at that tweet. Attention please, Deacon Blues has taken over the lead with a time of 7:55:45. And what does our service actually do here? Exactly that. So we know now, just from the console output here, that the payload has reached the service, has gotten into the service layer here. Since we don't have the Twitter thing built in yet, it's just printing out here to the console, but it looks 100% correct. So I'm satisfied. We've now gotten over the first part, the Java part, and we can continue now on to the Roblox side. Okay, now for the Roblox side, we're going to be using the HTTP service. You can read about it here on the Roblox developer webpage. It's actually quite straightforward and easy. I think that is actually the easiest part of the whole thing. At the end here, they have kind of an example. And I think my example might even be more simple than that. So as a start here, I'm going to start up my studio here. I'm going to create just a basic game. And I need a script here. Just for information, this I think for best practices, this should be a module script. But since we're just doing a uh, proof of concept here, we'll just do it straight out of a script. I already have everything in my clipboard because I'm too lazy to type. So this is the entire script. It's comprised of a single method here, post to service. Here is the URL. This is the service that we defined before in Java. And the HTTP service will take as its data here. This is going to be the data structure here. And we're going to JSON encode it here because this is the format the service is expecting. And that's what you have available from the HTTP service in Roblox, which is very nice. We're not doing any error handling or anything special. All we're going to do is a quick test. We have these two variables. We know that the payload has a username and it has a time string here. So if I try to execute this, I expect actually that will not work right away because this new game I defined, I don't have the HTTP settings on. And in order to do that, usually you go over to game settings and it says, hey, you got to see this to Roblox first. So we are going to, let's do this. This is overwrite some other game that we already have here. So we'll just overwrite this thing here. This is kind of a test game that I use. Okay, so now it's officially published to Roblox. Now if I go to game settings, hello, here we go. Permissions, security, here we go. Allow HTTP request. We're going to save it. Now we should be able to do this. And what my expectation is that when it posts this username and time string, I expect from my service here, eventually it gets into the uh, service layer and it will only print it to the console. Let's give it a shot. This is everything is local right now. So when this thing is finished, here we go, output is finished. And then when I go to my Java, I can see here indeed I have the um, output that I'm expecting, which is the username and the time string here. Wonderful. So it's so easy. And as you can see, it's just a few lines of code. Now this game has the ability to make external HTTP calls to whatever service that you defined. And that's pretty much it for the Roblox side. Okay, in order to access their services and send tweets, we need to go to the developer portal on developer.twitter.com, sign up for an account, and then from there, they're going to ask you some questions, and you have to give them some information, and eventually you can get the consumer keys and the access tokens. It may be a little bit confusing. I think partially it's because I think their help section is a little bit outdated. But once you have these four things, then we can go to the last stage of our REST service and build in our Twitter unit. Um, just to let you know, they look like this. The keys. One is the consumer key. One's the consumer secret. There's an access token and the access token secret. Okay, let's get back to programming. I'm on the home page for Twitter4j. This is a new dependency that we're going to add to our project. And we want to add this as a Maven dependency. If I go into versions here and I do a search for Maven, I see nothing here. So what I'll do is go into Google. I'll do Twitter4j and then Maven. And what comes up here, and you will see here, what the heck is this? I just want this guy here. All I want is a Twitter4j here. Um, this looks fine. So I just take this guy here. I've already done it in my project. If I look into my Palm project here, yeah, I had the 407. So I added this, um, and then you go into here on your project here, and you go to Maven update project here, update project, and then you have this dependency downloaded. What I did here is I reorganized a little bit. I got rid of this Twitter package. I'm going to put it directly into the service, which I've done here. And I'll tell you what I did. Basically, if you go back to the Twitter homepage here, to main, and where do you see examples? Oh, here's the Maven stuff. What a knucklehead I am. Okay, so where does it show me how to code examples here? You see this? It's so easy, these three lines here. Basically, you can do a copy and paste. You go into here, and I just copied it in here. That's more or less what I have there on top. So I have this high score object coming in. I'm going to format a message here, and then I will send it via Twitter. Here's the thing. The Twitter properties here. You have I can't open this because my keys are actually visible here. But here under Twitter properties, you will have the four keys that we mentioned yesterday, and they had to be under source main resources. And then you're pretty much good to go as far as that's concerned. So we have this in the service, and in the controller here, what I did is I am now doing something a little bit differently. Instead of sending back the same object that was sent in, I'm going to send back nothing because as a REST service, I just want to confirm that everything's okay. I'm going to send back a HTTP 200 okay. As far as I'm concerned, this is just a one-way message, and the client is not going to do anything with it. It just wants to actually send off a message like a JMS message. There's really no um, need to deal or consume the response. So unless there's a problem, I actually will catch the exception. I propagated the exception from the service. I have it here, and I will send back the error message. But even that, I really don't care about because, for example, if you're in Roblox, what are you going to do with an error message? There's really nothing. If you want to deal with errors, you're better off going directly into the application log files themselves and see if you have problems. Because and as far as Roblox concerned, you have no control what's going on inside the game in terms of logging. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm going to actually make a link to this entire project, so uh, I'm not bothering like typing line for line here. You guys can just copy this and then play around with it as you want. Yes, I forgot to mention I did add login here for the heck of it. I think in both places here. Uh, Also in the controller. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. That's the only difference I did. So now, if I start this guy up again with Twitter now embedded, and I'll do a postman this time. Check this out. So I'm gonna tweet. It took me 100 minutes here. I'm gonna send it. Boom. So I get like an empty body here. Status is okay. Now if I go over to my Twitter account here, and if I go down here under here, you will see. Look at this. There it is. So very nice. That's of course this is still local from my machine. Basically, um, uh, the artifact's running on my laptop. But at least we know that it takes an incoming message and then sends it to Twitter, and everything works. The next step would be to uh, upload it into Amazon, and then we're completely free and independent. Okay, last but not least, we're going to deploy this application on Amazon. First step, of course, is to register, and then afterwards, head right over to, let me get to the right place here, under Compute here, and then under Elastic Beanstalk. I already have an application running here. We're going to make a new one here. So let's create an application. We're going to just call it test one. Under here, we don't need any tags. Platform is going to be Java. And then we'll upload our code here. We'll choose our file here. Our deployment is under, let's see if we find this thing right away. REST service. So under targets, um, oh, okay, so I forgot something, to be quite honest. Here's our project here again. Let's do this. Maven, no, sorry, run as Maven install. This is going to create an artifact. Okay, all set. Now let's go back over to Amazon. Let's do this again. We will go to do my workspace here, and then under target, there we go. Now we have our artifact. Okay, it's uploaded. Got everything we need. We don't need this. Let's create the application. Okay, this will take a few minutes, and when this is finished, then we'll give it a test run. Okay, so I came back to look at the deployment. It looks like there was some problems, and it seems like I forgot one more thing. Okay, so here's the deal. The application has to be running on port 5000, and this is in the server or the application properties here under source main resources, and then in application properties. I have a property here called server.port equals 5000. By default, it runs at 8080, and that's where we ran into problems before. Okay, so after doing another build and then redeploying on the Amazon website, everything was kosher. So now on to the final test. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now on to the final test. We now have the servers up and running on Amazon, complete with the Twitter for J. And we'll trigger this from Roblox. It will now connect to the Amazon Web Service, and I expect to see a tweet on Twitter. So let's give it a shot. I have the game here. So here's the uh, prototype game that we had before, and I had a local URL because we were going against our local Java application. But now that we have it on Amazon, I copied the URL here. And let's put in some numbers here so we trust our result. I'll put in all twos. So now I will start this thing. And it says output is already finished. Now let's go to look at this. Now look at this. Isn't that wonderful? So that's it. We have successfully sent or are able to automate tweets from the Roblox game internally to Twitter without doing anything manual using the Amazon Web Service. And I hope this was helpful. Any questions or comments, please leave it below. Thank you.